Hello, 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 hello. Is this playing? There's music now. Sorry. uh, I should only need like 3 seconds to check audio balancing, and then we should be good. We should be good. But let me check that real quick, and we can start my. Uh, let me check that real quick, and we can start. Let me turn this down just a little bit more, just a tish more. We can start my stream. And, hopefully today, audio sounds like that of someone who's been doing this for several years. It'd be nice. It'd be cool. Honestly, I could actually just... I'm a loser. I genuinely never occurred to me, but if I can just put YouTube so I can monitor YouTube still on my phone and then just read Storygraph and just book descriptions off of my computer, because my computer is like in front of me, so that's the thing I can do. Exciting. We're cool. We're doing things. Okay. Salutations, friends. My name is Brianna Sukium Bund, otherwise known as Nor, New Scholar, and today we are doing my quarter one reading wrap up. I do quarterly wrap ups because I'm a slow reader and I just don't finish that many books before a quarter. Like, if we're about to look at the things I did finish from the quarter, it's not that much. It's not that much. I didn't need to stop at the end of every month to touch on like one book. It's fine, especially because I do a full review for most novels that I read. We're good. We are good. But first and foremost, are you making me sign in? Why am I not signed into Storygraph right now? I am. It's just weird. It's just being weird. Okay. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about the books that I read over the past quarter, January, February, March. It's been a time. It happened. This quarter did in fact happen. That's just the general overview that we got over here. See, again, not too much stuff. You're kind of spoiled on what my 5-star book draft is looking like, but we'll come back to that. So the novels that I've read, I'm going to read you the descriptions. Give me some leniency and some like give me a bit of a break on El Príncipe del Sol. That is in Spanish. I'll try, but no promises, no guarantees on how well I'm going to read that description. But let's start off. Should we start off good or end good? Let's end good. Let's go to Take a Hike by Mimi Grace. So the description of this book, God, it's long. Falling in love is an uphill battle. Day-to-day life has grown stale for Raven Coleman, who prefers to fly by the seat of her pants than follow any set plan. So when she unexpectedly inherits an outdoor recreation and tour business in a charming small town, it's exactly the kind of shakeup she's been asking the universe for. Instead of selling mountaintop adventures right away, Raven decides to step in as the boss for the summer to determine if it's a position she'd like to hold long term. Unfortunately, her presence is not well received by the staff, particularly Silas Reynolds, the hard-headed archery instructor. Silas once had big dreams, but life got in the way. Now he's making the most of his situation. That is until the bubbly Raven thwarts his plan to buy Mountaintop Adventures. She has no industry experience or interest in the great outdoors, but insists she can run the business. The two butt heads immediately, but attraction and rapport soon soften the exchanges. Can Silas and Raven keep professional lines and their opposing goals intact, or is love a force too strong to ignore? This book, is he hard-headed? That's one of the things. Like, oh no, dog was down bad immediately. It felt like issues I had with this book. I didn't particularly love the writing style. I struggled a lot when it came to timing in the book. I had no real sense of like transition times, how long was happening between time jumps, and that left a lot of confusion. Like, I'm still not fully sure. I don't think she stayed for the full summer, but I'm not sure of that. It's like she could have literally been there for 2 weeks or the full summer, and I have no idea. There was a lot of redundancy in the writing. I felt like the writing had a lot of redundancy, and that was just, I was not into it. I was not feeling it. But there were some very funny points. There were some very funny points in the writing. I don't regret reading it, and I'm kind of interested in trying out one of this author's other books, because I know I've read the reviews of it, and some of them were saying that some of the other books in the series are better. So I am interested in potentially at some point checking out something else from the series, but for right now, it wasn't for me. I was not loving it, and it was, yeah, I wasn't loving it. Moving on. So yeah, we gave that book a 3-star. Moving on. Unfilled Desires by Rose. This, everywhere it's different what person this what this person's name is. It's great. That's makes it really great and easy to look up information about a book. And it's one of those things of like, I was just looking up a book, and I understand why authors use multiple different pen names, but I don't know what the pen name for the author for this book was. And the amount of work I had to do to just find to just be able to find this book by this author made it like so difficult to want to read the book. And so again, where this book has like 1,000 different author names, because I guess the author names just has gotten changed a lot, makes it like trying to find this. If I'm like, someone's like, oh, I remember this book. If this book were like had a name that didn't pull up the book very immediately, it's so difficult to find it that it's just a bridge of difficulty to try and find the book later to read, and it's a whole thing. Back to the description of Unfulfilled Desires. This is 57 erotic short micro reads Rose Desire likes to call quickies. Her debut book features mind-blowing quickies that will resonate with every woman who's ever desired another woman. Each quickie is sure to stir up emotions, familiarity, and even ignite conversation between women. Brace yourself as you delve into a book that is sure to have you tempted to tap into every desire that has ever been unfulfilled. Each page connects with readers by offering erotic micro reads that women can relate to. Each story is written with the intention to have every reader able to imagine themselves in each scenario. This lesbian erotica book is the perfect conversation starter, coffee table read, girls' night out talk, full of the evening, or bathtub alone time, whatever your preference. You'll be sure to get exactly what you're looking for within the pages of this book. That's a really weird description when there is, like, one of the reasons this book I got completely turned off of this book is there's like a chapter of the main character describing their sadistic pleasure in tormenting their partner by leaving little traces of the fact that they're cheating around and gaslighting their partner about it. But this is stories that each story is written with the intention to have a reader be able to imagine themselves in each scenario. Like, that's a weird description that feels a touch inaccurate. But yeah, I don't regret reading this book. I don't know how I feel about reading some of the other stuff by this author, but yeah, there was like a whole chapter in which like we're describing the pleasure this character feels by cheating and by making their partner feel like they're losing their mind because they're gaslighting them about the fact that they're cheating while they're leaving like other women's underwear in their clothes for their partner to find, stuff like that. And it was gross. It was gross. And I like reading that description makes me want to read this author less again, because reading the scene, I genuinely like, what am I supposed to be feeling? What do you think I'm supposed to be thinking about this character as I'm reading this? And apparently I was supposed to be joining along in the fucking fun. That's gross. But yeah, from there, everything just went downhill for me a lot. There were examples of like describing daintiness as peak femininity, which I've said it before. There's a very thin line when it comes to the topic of femininity and like white supremacy, and that crosses it. And I like not even gonna, let's also just be very clear. I can be so picky on the euphemisms, this like sex euphemisms that don't ick me out. And I feel like after the point where I stopped liking this book, those euphemisms became the ones that I just can't do. Just were a constant. And so that's also a problem. My phone's freaking out, sorry. But yeah, like I felt like the like mound, I don't like the word mound. I just don't. Bulb, I'm very picky on the euphemisms that don't ick me out, and I feel like this book just started going 10 toes deep on ones that were icking me out after the point of, again, the like disgusting description of cheating on your partner and loving how it made them feel like shit. Oh, that was like, again, beforehand, I'm tempted to now see. Now I feel like I want to give it a 1 star because, again, that aches me the fuck out. We might be making this a 1 star now. We might be making this a 1 star. Was this on my first book draft? It was not, thank God. Yeah, I might move this down to 1 star after reading this description. That's great. That's great for me. That makes me feel so good about my reading year. I've done this before, for sure, where I've like read a book and then I'm like, you know what? Actually, I'm changing my mind. I did that with what's it called? It's the one that was giving colorism. That one. I changed my mind on that one. Like once it was like the colorism kind of solidified itself after seeing some other stuff the author was sharing. It just icked me out. And that's what we're feeling here too. So yeah, that's a 1 star now, I guess. Don't like that at all. Don't feel comfortable with that at all. Probably will not be reading more from this author anytime soon. And like, when I say that, it's also, I don't like, you can see I don't read fast, and there's just significantly better things for me to pick up when I know how little time I have to dedicate to books, how little I will get through books. I will be picky with them because of that. And so we're gonna hold off on this author until further notice because ew. Next. The next book, let's go ahead and talk about El Príncipe del Sol. How long is this description before it's not terribly long. Okay, so this book is in Spanish, so I'm gonna terribly read the Spanish description, and then I'll kind of give an English explanation of the book and like explanation of why I hated it. So bear with me. Don't make fun of me too hard. Okay. La Nación del Sol y el Rey de la Luna han logrado mantener la paz durante un milenio, pero hoy todo parece estar perdido. Los vientos de guerra amenazan ambos territorios. Emil es el príncipe heredero, la corona del sol, y siempre ha sido el deseo más grande de su corazón. I just like to point out, because when I did do my review of this book, I kept messing up the name of the Sun Kingdom. They pretty much primarily call it the Kingdom of the Sun, La Corona del Sol. So, and I was listening to the audiobook, so I would have had help if they said it, but they didn't. Back to it. Pero no en estas circunstancias. Ahora lo que más quisiera es evitarlo a toda costa. Elion es un Solaris con un espíritu libre y soñador. La que más Angela descubrir, that was, nope, not happening. Lugares y tener muchas aventuras y hará lo que sé para lograrlo. So this is why I need to stop picking up fantasy in Spanish. These are probably fine words, but I'm not at this reading level. Es por eso que convence a Emil de emprender un agregado viaje para Fenrir antes de que los rumores sobre los sinistros planes del reino de las Luna, they don't say either of the names in the description, se vuelvan realidad. Pero la travesía se torna cada vez más peligrosa y desconcertante cuando descubren la verdad detrás de algunos secretos que eran mejores no revelar. Valdrá la pena poner en riesgo. I've never seen this word before. Riesgo, maybe, su vida para salvar el lugar que los ha visto crecer. Woo! We did it. We got through it. English description. So you have Kingdom of the Sun, Kingdom of the Moon. They're very separate territories. Like, no, you're not supposed to be crossing the borders and stuff like that. Emil is the prince of the Kingdom of the Sun. His mother goes missing. And now we're, like, going through the process of him trying to become the king. Which, basically, the way it's set up, basically means he and his friends get unlimited access to each other with little to no pushback from any of the adults, and they make plans to find, because the reason this whole thing happens is that his mother goes missing, and so with this unlimited access with very little pushback from adults, these kids are going off to try and figure out the mystery of what happened to their mother. They presume that the Kingdom of the Moon, Aaliyah, kidnapped her, and so they sneak over to Aaliyah to try and find plans and figure out what's going on. I was very upset with this book. I was extremely upset with this book. This book was a constant series of kids making bad decisions upon bad decisions upon bad decisions, and then Emil being like, maybe I do make bad decisions. Maybe my uncle would be a better leader, but I'm entitled to the throne, so it doesn't matter. And you know what? Fuck him for that, honestly, quite frankly. Like, it's so irritating. Some of the bad decisions they're making are, like, sneaking over to Aaliyah, but every aspect of the way they're doing it makes them stick out like a sore thumb. And so they're easily, like, picked out as people that don't belong there. And they keep walking around. They leave this person who's like, you don't belong here. You're either from the Sun Kingdom or the Rebel Islands. You don't belong here. And then they leave that interaction and are like, I hope no one, like, thinks we're out of place, even though we're going to stay here. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. 2, they decide they get attacked by some wolves, and because they didn't come here to kill, they don't, like, non-fatal wounds are a thing. And this king, this leader, not even kind of considering that, bad decision. And so they're like, we're just gonna use our fire magic. Your fire magic's not working. So now they're literally just hand-to-hand fighting wolves. Wolves are not small. Wolves' claws, teeth, they're getting their ass handed to them, and they nearly dying. Like, one of their friends nearly dies because you should not hand-to-hand fight a wolf. Again, under no circumstances would it have been me. Like, not even a nick. You don't want to just nick it, scare it. And one of the, like, most ridiculous ones was when they're in the Lardia, they find this like, fairy tale. They find this note on someone's boat that's a fairy tale that talks about an island that only exists at night, and they've seen some Alardian ships in the water in that area. So and like they think this might be legit because the person they stole from literally killed people to try and get that note back. But they can't tell. They go to the council, they go to the kingdom's council, and they can't tell the council, hey, we snuck over to the territory that we're not supposed to be in, that we might accidentally trigger a war with. You can't tell him you did that. But he doesn't think of any other explanation as to how he got the information and why the information is credible information. So he goes up to this group of adults that are leading the country and is like, I know a fairy tale of the Moon Kingdom that talks about this island that only appears at night. We must direct military and kingdom resources. I know there's poverty in the kingdom. Fuck that. We must direct the resources towards going after this island that I know is in a fairy tale to see if my mother's there. And the adults there are like, this is ridiculous. This is a waste of my time. And these kids, these absolute kids are just like, it's suspicious that you're so sure that this fairy tale is fake. That's suspicious. And the adults are like, get out. We're done talking to you. And I just, you didn't take a second to think of a way to tell these people why this information should be treated as credible. That is poor leadership. And again, for the like moral of the story to be, you can make terrible decisions, you can have no idea what you're doing, but if you're entitled to rule a kingdom, they just have to fucking deal with it. I was so upset with this book. I was so upset with this book. I want easy 1 star. I was I was so constantly frustrated with these kids. You have no idea. Oh my lord. And now to end with the novel that I actually liked. The novel I actually liked reading this past quarter because I needed something. Granted, this was like mid-quarter. I think it was around February that I read it because that's just when it released and I had it as an ARC. The Survivor Stands. The Catastrophe Incoming series by Amy Dillon is fantastic. Also, by the way, I've done like full-length stream reviews of Take a Hike, The Survivor Stands, and Open Its Pedestal on my channel. Go check those out. You might have to crank the volume up a little bit. We were struggling with audio balancing for a hot minute there, so just bear with me. So The Survivor Stands. I was worried about dragons, and here we are. No dragons, just dickheads. Ren doesn't tend to talk about herself or whatever made her leave the safety of home to jump into adventures, but when she and her friends find themselves in a village under attacks, the details ring too close to Ren's painful memories. Bandits taking everything they can with fire and ice magic, creating havoc and terror among the common folk. Ren stood against them once and failed to stop them. Now she has the chance to face them again. Despite being the only one who knows how the bandits operate, can she really be a hero in the present when she's seeking vengeance for her past? I adored this book. I think this was really, really well done. It's one of those stories where like not a second of the story is wasted. You feel everything that's going on in this book. You are there with these characters, and as Ren is going through like this emotional turmoil, this conflicting like mental process, this conflicting emotional struggle, you feel the imbalance with her. You feel the tension in the town that is awaiting this second wave attack from these bandits, and it's phenomenal. I adore this author's writing. I cannot recommend this series enough, and I am so excited for the next book in the series. I'm so excited. I'm so truly excited. So that was the fiction that I read this quarter. And before we go on to talk about some of the other things that I did pick up, let me say I also write fiction. I've got a couple books you can check out. Links are down below. This is my YA spy series. It's about a girl who goes to work for the government that ruined her life, the Queen of Thieves. And then we also have my new adult romance. This isn't the real cover, but I do adore the temporary cover for Imani and Aaliyah's fashion Bible. This is my artistic cheerleader romance. Lots of discussions about, and like we spend a lot of time working on talking about and engaging in accommodation between these girls. They fall in love, and it's such a sweet. I adore these two together. I love Rochelle, who is Aaliyah's mother. We love Rochelle. But back to the books that I've read. I read one poetry book this quarter, and I DNF'd it, unfortunately. I don't even know if I want to go and hunt down the description of it. I DNF'd it. I truly was just not feeling the writing style, which sucks because this cover is gorgeous. But yeah, I just was not feeling the writing of it at all. Yeah, that's it. Moving on to graphic novels. I've talked about Moonlight Garden before, and this is a 5-star. I've talked about Moonlight Garden before. I read most of it last year, and I just finished the series this year. It is about these, it's in this world where some women get seeds, where it's like a flower seed, kind of, like, I don't know if it's like a physical, like a real seed implanted in their skin that they're just born with, or if it's a tattoo of a seed, but they'll have a seed, and then once a month they will bloom, where they are like, they're overcome with a lot of lust and a lot of pain, and they have to have sex with another woman in order to be relieved of that pain, or they'll also die if they don't. And once they hit 21, they die altogether. And it's about this girl who is trying to find a cure for it, and she is running into a lot of trouble with the headmistress who runs the people that have the seeds and all that. They're called flower maidens, and they work at brothels, basically, because like they have to have sex with a woman regularly once a month. And she's trying to find a cure for it, not only so she doesn't die, but also so she can run off and not be a part of the brothel situation. And she keeps running into trouble with the headmistress of the brothel of Moonlight Garden. And I thought it was beautifully drawn. It was an amazing story, an amazing concept. I adored reading it. The only thing is, I don't love the like setup of, I read this on Tapas, and I just hate the process of trying to, I wish I could have just bought the book. I wish I could have just bought the book in some fashion, like just bought a PDF of the full book, but that was not an option for something like that. It was not available anywhere else. I could only get it on Tapas, and so that meant I had to like get ink in order to read the book. And I like, it's one of those things where I can see how some people would think that kind of system allows for more people to read like graphic novels and stuff like that, something where you can like play this video game in order to earn ink. But it really feels like using capitalism to solve the problems capitalism caused, like, it's like, if I get infinitely more ink spending money on a third-party game than if I had spent that same amount of money within the app, I do not think we are doing this to like help the people. I can't. I loved the story. I really did, but I don't know. I would have such a hard time recommending it because I found the process of trying to get access to the book to be just absolutely miserable. And so do I even have those apps anymore? I'm positive I deleted Webtoons. I might have also deleted Tapas, but yeah, it was not fun. And then the last one over here is Bingo Love. So, Bingo Love. When Hazel Johnson and Marty McRae met at church bingo in 1963, it was love at first sight. Forced apart by their families and society, Hazel and Marty both married young men and had families. Decades later, now in their mid-60s, Hazel and Marty reunite again. Did I give that 5-star? Thought I gave. Yeah, I gave it 4-star. Ignore the graphic. I gave this 4 stars. My bad. But decades later, now in their mid-60s, Hazel and Marty reunite again at church bingo hall, realizing their love for each other is still alive. What these grandmothers do next takes absolute strength and courage. I thought it was a very sweet story. I thought it was a very nice read. But my 5 stars is just like, I will be reading this book in the future, guaranteed. I don't know if I would pick this up again, but I did think it was a great read. I think it was a really sweet story. I did like the illustration, but yeah, it should be a 4-star. Moving on to my book draft. Actually, let's talk about my book draft real quick. Break. If you are new here, I do also have a full stream talking about my 5-star book draft. Basically, what it is I've picked some books that I think are going to be 5-star reads. I'll read them and we're just going to see the average of the ratings that I have for them. The really only rules that I have are no rereads and no books later in a series, because I just feel like books later in book series overall should be like viewed differently than like I would read like one standalone, you know? But overall, if you want to see the full list I went into the year with, and as well as a reflection on the books on my list last year, that is also up on my channel. Again, maybe just crank up the volume a tish. But at the moment, we're doing rough. We're having a very hard time. Bingo Love is really the MVP right now. Because yeah, I have a 1-star, a 3-star, and a DNF of my 4 books from my 5-star book reads, which is, you know, not ideal. I feel like if this were to end up looking good in the future, I would have to basically only have 5 stars, which is not likely. So I'm hoping we pull out a 3-star, a 3-point-some star in the future. But right now, the other books that are on my list that I'm currently in the middle of Babel, Decolonizing Therapy, and African American Poetry. So we need one of those. Frankly, we need all of those to do well. I don't doubt Decolonizing Therapy. I just need to finish Decolonizing Therapy, and it's one I've been taking my time with because it's like a book I don't want to pick up while I'm at work. I don't want to have like an emotional breakdown while I'm at work, but I do a decent amount of reading at work. I could read African American poetry more, especially if I'm like not in the mood to like deal with headphones and stuff, because I blend read most things. So if I'm not in the mood to do all that, I can pick up African American poetry and just read without having to like grab headphones and pair and stuff like that. But so we have those. Did we add House of Badwi? I might add House of Badwi back on there because I know that used to be on my list, but I wasn't expecting to pick it up. If the next video we read is going to be my TBR for the quarter, just because I had a lot of fun doing the book out cookout TBR, and it was like a nice way to like look at books that I wouldn't have like thought to like pick up. For like Bingo Love, I would not have picked up if it weren't for the cookout TBR. Granted, I do exist, I also wouldn't have picked up, but we're not going to hold that against it. We had fun doing a TBR, and so we have a TBR set. If you want to watch me build that TBR, you can check out the stream on my vlog channel, No Ordinary Vlogs. But we're going to do just a streamlined run through of the prompts as well as the picks for my TBR in the next stream. I don't know if it'll be the next stream or it might be next week that we do that, but that'll be something to check out. Wish me luck on my further reading, because apparently I need it. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, valedictions, friends.